Hi, welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you're a current subscriber. Today I'm analyzing the body language of Ken Urker and Gypsy Rose on a TikTok live stream that they've done recently. This is a video from Flawless Nina's channel, and I don't feel I have to introduce her. You probably know who that is. You're probably already subscribed, but if you aren't, go to Flawless Nina's channel. I'll leave the link in the description box below. Let's get started.
Well, I gotta find that countdown. What did I put it on?
It's about 3 months.
It is about
November, December, and then
here we go. I have it set the exact countdown. So if I go here, I go to due date.
We have 86 days. Gypsy, will you please say hi, Chloe?
Hi, Chloe.
You bought your own place, ready for baby now? Well, we rent, but yeah. Or I rent, sorry.
The first thing I want to note is that when Ken turns his head, what I've picked up on is typically when he is not confident in his answers and potentially being deceptive, most likely being deceptive. He will turn away from the camera, failing to confront his audience, and he is a bit distracted. Gypsy will also chip in and make noise or reposition herself, self-groom, or do something that turns attention back onto her to distract people from what she is saying. In this particular instance, they're talking about when baby Aurora is due, and there has been controversy around whether baby Aurora is a real baby, of course. So it's possible the stress is around that, but he is not confident in his response, and he turns to look towards her, and she has a countdown. So normally with babies, you have a date that you are given that's your due date, but babies, of course, can be born before or after that point. So it's possible that their uncertainty here is because of that, but they are typically given a due date, and she's needing a countdown on her phone for this. They're not sure how many months or how much time it is before, but there's also a huge lack of positive tonality around this. No eyebrow flashes, no forehead creases, no genuine smiles, nothing around the orbicularis muscles. All of this tells me that they are not, at the very least, excited about this particular thing, as they have this cluster of behaviors indicating a lack of certainty around when this baby will be born and a lack of excitement around discussing this.
God, 68 days?
No, 86 days.
Oh, 86 days.
86 days.
Dyslexia.
I'm like, whoa, not ready for that yet.
It's only 20-day difference. Gypsy, what's your favorite thing about pregnancy so far?
Ken sniffles a lot and he snorts a lot in this part, but he also touches his chin, indicates a level of stress and anxiety. It can be someone considering something, but it's more likely that it's someone protecting a vulnerable part of their body, and also a level of stress. Face touching typically is as you will have your blood pressure increase, you will have nasal tissue swell or something going on that you touch your face to cool that down or to potentially self-soothe. Again, interesting when it's around the discussion of baby Aurora, and the controversy being that baby Aurora may or may not be a real baby that Gypsy actually had. And I say that if you're new to the Gypsy Rose drama, Gypsy Rose looked pregnant and then didn't look pregnant. There was a lot that didn't add up, a lot of things that really didn't make sense and isn't typical of a pregnancy. While every pregnancy is different, there are things that just universally did not make sense and could have been for the sake of her Lifetime series, but most likely is because she is very deceptive. And we have to ask ourselves things such as, is she really pregnant? Does she really have a baby? And there's a lot of nervousness around these particular bits and a lack of positive tonality that indicate they are not fully answering things confidently, directly, and honestly.
Favorite thing. Honestly, I think like feeling her move, and then like knowing kind of like when she's asleep, when she's away, when she's like hyper. I ate a Kit Kat and a Coca-Cola one time, and like she was like,
She always kicks it.
The positive tonality in this part actually appears when she says when the baby's asleep, her eyes widen and there's a genuine smile around the baby being asleep, and then Ken props himself up, repositioning himself, and it seems to be another distraction from what Gypsy's response is, as they tend to do that to each other to keep the focus fully from what's being said so that the audience will not ask questions. Now that's not an absolute, but that is most likely what is taking place here. But you see her eyebrows flash, the smile, and and a lot of positive tonality around discussing the baby being asleep, and then an eyebrow flash around the word awake. So that is pretty significant to these two when the baby is asleep versus awake. It's not possible for her to have had a Kit Kat and a baby instantly be hyper in the womb. And I want to note that there is a level of deception there, that Gypsy is not telling the truth about this bit. And you see that around mostly her not facing the camera, the audience, the positive tonality and emphasis around sleep and not anything else. She's not emphasizing the significance of the baby being hyper. She's illustrating points which does not make sense in the context, position-wise, of a baby being hyper. That doesn't seem to be her exact experience.
Night. Whenever we're going to bed,
It's hell when I'm going to bed.
whenever Gypsy's here with me at my house, we go to bed around 9. So that's right around when she starts kicking like crazy. Do we have everything we need for our new little girl? Well, we have mostly everything. We're going to be painting the nursery in my house in a couple weeks, and then we're going to set up a nursery in Gypsy's house at the same time, around the same time. It's kind of interesting because we have
A lot of indications of stress in this bit as well. The chin tapping, a high blink rate, him not facing the camera, Gypsy distracting the audience, just a lot of face touching, sniffling, and things that indicate a level of stress. And again, the lack of positive tonality, no forehead creases, no eyebrow flash, nothing going on there that would indicate excitement or certainty and confidence or significance in this particular bit. And then there's a nose rub there, which does typically indicate a level of stress as the nasal tissue will swell when we're stressed, particularly when we're being deceptive. But more importantly and more specifically, when someone does this, it's an indication that they are not happy with an authority. In this case, it could be the authority that the audience tends to have over his response, their judgment, how he knows that he will be criticized at this point with what he's talking about in regards to there being two separate houses, because there is a controversy around that, whether they live in two separate houses or they live together, which Gypsy's not allowed to do while on parole. Now, Gypsy does whatever she wants. As her social media has indicated in her videos, she has consumed alcohol and done many things that she is not supposed to do while on parole. So a lot of controversy around that, as she seems to have a bit more freedom than everybody else who is under the same restraints. And that would usually mean that she also would not care about the restraints around living at Ken's house, and that would not be something that holds her back necessarily, but that she's keeping that from the audience. She continues to distract the audience, and a lot of indications of stress around this tell me that most likely they are indeed living together.
set up 2 different nurseries and get 2 of everything, 2 cribs, 2 bassinets, because we have an interesting situation. Well, the theme for the nursery...
Not only high blink rate, his eyes are shifting that direction. That's not eye accessing. That's not data collecting. He's not looking up or down and thinking. He's not considering. His eyes shift that direction. Failure to confront his audience. Lip licking, lip compressions, sniffling. All of these indications that he is being deceptive here. This huge cluster of behaviors and his lack of confidence. He continues to tap his chin, defending this vulnerable part of himself. It's a bit of a physical barrier also between himself and the audience.
Nursery in my house is pretty basic, so I bought this like light pink paint, and
So the trim is white, the walls are going to be pink.
The trim is white, the walls are light pink, and
we got
crib is white.
It's from baby room. It's like this little boutique, and we got the crib set. It's a white dresser and a white crib.
Yeah.
So.
There's a lot of mouth shrugging around this, continued chin tapping, which again could be consideration, but he's doing this very frequently. It's not chin tapping at certain points when he's having to consider specific things. It is fully throughout this entire live stream. And then Gypsy speaks up again, distracting the audience from what Ken might be saying, and there's a lot of mouth shrugging, a high blink rate, his eyes shifting that direction, and then eyebrow furrowing, a negative tonality around this particular part where he's discussing the nursery in his house. Also verbally he says the nursery in his house, but then when it comes to Gypsy, he says Gypsy's nursery, her nursery. Further leads the audience to believe and speculate on whether there's a real baby that they are building a nursery for and not something that's more for what Gypsy likes. It's very possible that this is more because Gypsy has more input in what's going into these nurseries, if there are 2 nurseries, and so he isn't that certain and confident in his responses. That really could be it, and the reason that he says it's her nursery and makes it about her.
And the theme for your nursery, well, your nursery is going to be also
It's pink.
synonymous with your bedroom.
Yeah, it's pink. It's just like I didn't come up with like a theme. Like some people have like a theme where it's like, I don't know.
They said if we're renting Acme paint, we asked for permission, and we got it.
Hair is crazy.
I do also want to point out that, interestingly, Gypsy is choosing the color pink, which I believe was her bedroom color back in the house with her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, who she unalived, who she stated had been overprotective and very abusive. However, instead of that being part of her trauma and her not wanting to participate in things that would be reminders of that time, she's painting a nursery room pink. As I said, verbally, a lot of what they are saying just doesn't make sense. In relation to this baby, they aren't discussing this baby. They're discussing his and hers and furniture and not necessarily directly talking about the baby. There's not a level of excitement, no positive tonality around this.
Was it a convertible crib? Yeah, it was a convertible crib that we got.
Who do you think she's going to look like? Well,
I feel like from like the pictures that we got, let me find that one because that's just you.
I think she looks like me.
Okay, so that one right there, the one that I had posted.
Don't. No, people can see things done.
No.
It's just
Fine. There.
it's okay. People can see. They can look at your Instagram and see.
Okay, well.
Sorry, Lids. It's mine.
There's a high blink rate here in this part until Ken distracts himself with what's on the phone, and then he physically grabs the phone, is controlling again what's being shown, which people do want their privacy, but this seemed a bit controlling on his behalf. There's nervous laughter, not laughter that genuinely meets the eyes. There's nothing in the orbicularis muscles. And then there's a lot of face touching. Again, that part right there where Gypsy rubs her nose is more specific to this dislike in authority. In this case, Ken grabbing her phone and having that control, whereas he touches another part of his face and he's stressed in a different way for a different reason. Most likely it's more related to having to do that and her tendency to show things that he believes should not be on there. So there's a lot of nervousness and anxiety around this part, a lot of stress in regards to what's on the phone, and the baby's ultrasound. Ken expresses that the baby probably looks more like him, calling the baby it, even though they know it's a girl. There seems to be a lack of connection there verbally. And then all these indications that they are not excited about this and certain about having a baby.
I like to do it.
Got anything to say about the fake sonogram pictures? You know, that's such a ridiculous, stupid question. They're all very real. They were all taken.
Many creators that have already debunked that because they overlaid the pictures.
No, it doesn't. We don't even need to debunk it. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, you know what's interesting is
if you want to.
Here when Gypsy says that even other content creators are debunking them, Ken has an eyebrow flash around it being far-fetched. The word far-fetched brings significance to this, which indicates that potentially it's not as far-fetched. There's all kinds of places you can go for this sort of thing. And the ultrasound itself, the ultrasound video and photos just seemed very abnormal in comparison to what most women who are actually pregnant, end up experiencing. So it's possible that she could have gone to Peerspace or other places where you can definitely rent venues and hold a fake hospital or doctor's visit or do something along those lines. I'm not saying that is exactly what happened, just that it really is not that far-fetched. I believe that Ken is bringing significance to it not being that far-fetched himself, knowing what they've potentially had to fake for the Lifetime show. He knows that they've had to fake enough that it really is not that outrageous to believe that they would also fake an ultrasound.
People are saying, what happened to not showing the baby on social media? Well, the baby's not born yet.
Yeah,
we're showing sonogram pictures and like 8K ultrasound photos. That's not the actual baby.
I specifically said in my GMA interview, once she is born, did nobody hear that? Once she is born, we will not post her on social media. I feel like we are happy, excited parents.
Interestingly, he is very confident and able to defend this narrative when he says that the baby is not born yet, being very honest there because the baby has indeed not been born at this point when they're having this live stream. They do not have a baby, and so he's confidently able to face the camera. Eyebrow flashes and forehead creasing around this, though he is still stressed. and very defensive about this, protecting this vulnerable part of himself. Position-wise, it could just be because he is slouched down on this couch on the level of Gypsy, and Gypsy continues to speak up, again distracting people from what Ken is saying.
Exactly. We are doing everything pregnant couples do. Yeah. Thanks, Crystal. Appreciate you for being one of the few sane ones in the chat.
He has high blink rate. When a comment appears that he doesn't particularly agree with, he doesn't read out loud, but you can see that expressed nervousness. Then someone says, you're doing everything normal pregnant couples do. And what we don't see, he continues to be defensive, but you don't see eyebrow flashes where we should see eyebrow flashes or forehead creases, emphasizing the significance of certain points in this. He also lowers his tone and speaks very quickly as if, again, he doesn't really want to answer this particular question, but before he moves on to making noises with his mouth, tongue clicking, and moves right on.
I'm very happy. Very happy. Does Parker have a costume? We have something in mind for him, but no spoilers yet.
I wish he would wear like full costumes. But...
How's the nursery? Full costumes?
Yeah, like full costumes where it's like they have the little hat and they have the little...
For Parker?
Yeah. I don't think he'd be one of them dogs like that.
No, we'll find something good for him. I have something actually in mind for him, so...
Okay.
Continued nervousness around this part, but again, you're not seeing eyebrow flashes and forehead creasing where we should. He does not emphasize that he is happy in that way based on his body language, just with his word verbally. He expresses, yes, I'm happy, but you don't see that positive tonality. The forehead creases any indication of significance around this, whereas you then see him cheer and brighten right up when Parker, the dog, is brought up. You then see his eyebrows raise, a genuine smile. He turns towards where I assume Parker is, and they start discussing this dog. Now, there is no scratching and more sniffling around this part, but I believe it is more because this dog's being brought up and Gypsy has another dog she asked her ex-husband Ryan about that is not with them, and perhaps he knows to a degree that someone might bring that up, that they have this dog they're taking care of and not the other, and that might bring him a little bit of stress here.
All right, well, how's the nursery coming along? It's actually, we got the dress. Well, no, we didn't get the dresser in yet. We got the paint.
No, the paint.
And we're going to paint very soon. And
more scratching the side of his face, around his temple, indications of stress around the baby nursery. Again, that's been brought up. You don't see the excitement, the positive tonality that we should see, a genuine smile, anything going on around his orbicularis muscles, no forehead creasing, no positive tonality again around this baby and the nursery and everything involving a real baby.
the crib is coming.
Crib is going
We have the swaddle.
For 4 to 8 weeks to come home.
Yeah, but that was, we got it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it's almost here. So we're going to paint very soon, get some rugs down, get the swaddle set up. Eventually the crib will get set up. The dresser, the changing station, the clothes, all that. It's all coming along pretty nicely.
We had a huge debate on if we needed a recliner.
And
Thinking about the recliner.
now we'll
verbally, these two express uncertainty around everything involving this baby, which again just adds to the controversy. The fact they don't know the due date, they have not really figured out how many months along she is, how many weeks there are between specific times that should be important milestones. They don't seem very certain about all of this stuff, and Gypsy even needs a countdown to certain things that should be a big deal. But really you see lip licking and a lot of stress around things involving this baby that I would not expect to be there. Verbally, they don't express a lot of confidence in their answers when it comes to baby Aurora, when she's due, what they're doing for her, except for when they're talking about this furniture. There's no positive tonality around that, just him pointing, illustrating, we've got this, this, and this to build, listing out things they have to build, and not necessarily things that they associate with baby Aurora, more just a list of furniture items. No positive tonality again around the specific point that I would expect to see. I'm going to end this here. If you've watched this far, I appreciate that. A lot of this live stream is just Ken pointing out gifts he's receiving and the amount of views and everything he's getting, reading some comments that aren't necessarily relevant to what I want to discuss. So I'm going to end this here. If you've watched this far, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching.